What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 33. We have Sean Strickland going against Uriah Hall in what has to be the worst card of the year. And I'm usually really optimistic about the cards, and it's hard to be about this one. We were supposed to have 15 fights. We lost the Dawkins versus Shamil fight. We lost the Sam Alvey versus Roman Kopylov fight. And now we're left with fights like Cheyenne Bays, Gloria DePaula on the main card, Ryan Benoit versus Zaruk Adashev on the main card, fights like Ashley Yoder, Jinyu Fry, fights like Nico Montano, Wu Yanan. I mean, this card is something else. But hey, I mean, it's another fight card. It's another Saturday of fight. So don't want to complain too much about it. As always, it's another opportunity to make some money. I do feel like there's some good spots on this card, but I would 100% tread lightly on this card. This card is an absolute disaster, and we're just losing fights by the second, so I would not be shocked if we lost even more fights. But the main event's good. The main event's really good. Uriah Hall, Sean Strickland. I'm also really looking forward to the Trevin Jones, Ronnie Lawrence fight as well. So the whole card's not terrible. It should be fun. Usually when people are crapping on a card, it does tend to deliver. So it should be okay. It should be okay. Like I said, we get to watch some fights. Not much to complain about. Next week, we have a pay-per-view, so that's always something to look forward to as well. But before we get into it and break it down, if you guys can leave a like on the video, all the likes are much, much appreciated as always. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not, so you not miss out on the other content throughout the week. Me and Uncle Weezy did a main event prediction video. We went deep into that, the Sean Strickland Uriah Hall. I will be going live on Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time as always, and then Saturday, 1 hour prior to when the prelims start. I believe they were supposed to start at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, but with us losing 2 fights, possibly more, they're probably going to move that fight card back, or the start time back a little bit. So I say we get into it. I say we get into the card of the year. First, we have Orion Cosce going against Philip Rowe. We have Cosce, who is 27 years old, 5'11", 71-inch reach, 7-0, and obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Philip Rowe, 31 years old, 6'3", 80.5-inch reach, 7-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the betting odds here, and we have Orion Cosce opening up -185, currently -161. We have Philip Rowe opening up +160, currently +141. So I guess the big thing to point out is Philip Rowe is going to have a 9.5-inch reach advantage. That is pretty huge, to be honest. And you take a look at the fight. Orion Cosce, he's really nothing like his brother to an extent. He's a very good wrestler. Kind of puts everything into his shots, just like his brother. But unlike his brother, he actually has shown some decent cardio. He's shown a couple third-round finishes. He was able to get a third-round finish on the Contender Series. Besides his brother, Louis Cosce, who had never been past the first round prior to his last fight against Sasha Palatnikov. Ended up getting finished in that fight. But yeah, I mean, his brother Orion has cardio, so that's a good news there. I do see him slow down a little bit, but nothing like his brother. So in this fight, it's very interesting. You're going to have Philip Rowe with that 9.5-inch reach advantage. And the thing with Philip Rowe is he's not the most talented fighter, but he has a lot of physical advantages. He's going to be much bigger, 4 inches of height, obviously 9.5 inches of reach. And what I like about him is he has cardio. He has a very good ground game. He's a brown belt in BJJ. I was taking a look at his Instagram. He's training with guys like Gerald Mearshart, guys like Rodolfo Vera, very, very good grapplers. And I think that's going to pay dividends in this fight where Orion Cosce is going to want to get this fight down to the mat. And I definitely believe he can. Thus far in the UFC and Contender Series combined, Philip Rowe has a 25% takedown defense. But if Orion does choose to take him down, I do think that Philip Rowe is the better grappler. He's very slick off his back. He does throw up submissions. I've seen him get multiple reversals and sweeps. He got a sweep against Gabe Green, a couple of them. Was able to get a reversal against Shabazian on the Contender Series as well. And, prior to the UFC, I've seen him do it as well. So I think he can definitely have a lot of success on the mat. I think he can reverse Cosce, get on top, land some ground and pound, possible submission as well. Rowe has quite a bit of submissions on his record. He does have a 57% submission rate, 100% finish rate overall, and both guys have never, ever won by decision. Both guys have a combined, obviously 100% finish rate between the two. And yeah, this is an interesting fight. I think it's a very close fight. I think Orion's going to have success with the wrestling, But that's kind of playing right where Philip Rowe wants it. Philip Rowe's definitely, confident off his back, and as he should be, he's a very good grappler, has a lot of skills on the mat and on the feet. I think that 9.5-inch reach advantage is going to be a huge factor here, to be honest. And plus, I kind of think Rowe has the better striking. Orion's probably the more dangerous striker. He puts everything into his shots, but I think Rowe is the better striker for sure. Tons of volume, great cardio. The only thing you got to worry about is Orion possibly getting a knockout, which very well could happen. But if Rowe is able to survive that first round and a half, 2 rounds, I think he has the much better cardio. And like I said, I have seen Orion slow down. He did slow down on the Contender Series. The problem was his opponent slowed down even more than he did. He gassed out bad, and Orion was able to finish him there. But I think Rowe does survive that first round and a half, 2 rounds. And I think he gets a late finish here. So give me a Philip Rowe for give me a 3rd round knockout for Philip Rowe here. All right, next we have Trevin Jones going against Ronnie Lawrence. Probably, in my opinion, either the first or second best fight on the entire card, and it's the second fight on the card, which is very weird. But I'd rather see this fight be on the main card than Cheyenne Bays De Paula or Ryan Benoit Zaruk Adashev. So, but yeah, this is a really good fight. I'm looking forward to seeing it. We have Trevin Jones. He is 30 years old, 5'7", 70-inch reach, 13-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Ronnie Lawrence, 29 years old, 5'8", 70.5-inch reach. 7-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So take a look at the odds here. We do have Ronnie Lawrence opening up -180, currently -145. Trevin Jones opening up +155, currently +125. So the thing with Ronnie Lawrence, man, this guy is an absolute beast when it comes to the wrestling. 12 takedowns on the Contender Series against Jose Johnson. Very impressive numbers. Also getting 10 minutes of control time as well. And against Vince Cachero, he was able to get 8 takedowns in 7 minutes and 50 seconds of control time, and ultimately getting a finish in that 3rd round. This guy is the real deal. He's averaging 10.86 takedowns thus far in his 2-fight sample. Just unreal numbers there. And Trevin Jones, he's proven to be very, very dangerous in the UFC. It's just weird because you go back and look at the career of Trevin Jones. I believe the guy only has like 3 knockouts on his record, which shocked me because we're seeing him go out here and knock out Tamir Valiev. We're seeing him go out there and knock out Mario Batista. But you kind of look at him prior to the UFC, and he's not really knocking out anybody. But I will say this, he is a black belt in BJJ. He does look pretty decent off his back, but I have seen him taken down. I have seen him stuck on his back as well, and I feel like he's going to get taken down a lot in this fight. But Trevin Jones, he has that power. Trevin Jones has been winning as an underdog. He's another underdog in this spot as well. But I just think Ronnie Lawrence is going to get takedowns. He's going to be relentless with it. And on the feet, honestly, I think Ronnie Lawrence's striking is very good. He has a very good body kick. Like going into the tape, I wasn't really expecting much, but I was actually really impressed with Ronnie Lawrence and his striking for sure. So Trevin Jones, outside of a knockout, which it could definitely happen, it's just you take a look at his record, and he's not really much of a knockout guy. I mean, I think he has like 3, maybe 4 knockout wins on his record, finishing 23% of his wins by knockout, 31% by submission, for only a 53% finish rate. I mean, when you look at Trevin Jones, you kind of think he's more of a finisher than that, but that's just not the case. So I like Ronnie Lawrence here. I like him to win probably by decision, but this fight's going to be very, very exciting. You cannot count out Trevin Jones. Like I said, he's been cashing as an underdog. He's another underdog here. I feel like he's going to be a very popular underdog play for that reason. But yeah, I think Ronnie Lawrence is absolutely the real deal. This guy is legit. I really like this guy's wrestling. He has good cardio to go along with it. So yeah, good fight. Give me Ronnie Lawrence. I'll take him to win by decision. And one of the best fights on the card for sure. All right, Ashley Yoder going against Jinyu Fry. We have Ashley Yoder, who is 33 years old, 5'7", 69.5-inch reach, 8-7 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Jinyu Fry, she is 36 years old, 5'3", 65-inch reach, 10-6 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and we have Ashley Yoder opening up as a -140 favorite, currently -126. Jinyu Fry opening up +120, currently +106. So I guess the big things to mention are going to be Ashley Yoder is going to be significantly bigger. Ashley Yoder, she's going to have a 4-inch height advantage. She's going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage as well. And Jinyu Fry is going to be a 36-year-old strawweight, pretty much an atom weight fighting at strawweight. She's very small for the division. And like I said, Ashley Yoder is going to be pretty much bigger in this fight. So I do want to take a look at the stats a little bit. I don't want to talk about this matchup too much, but there are some stats I do want to point out. So Ashley Yoder does average 2.75 significant strikes per minute, Very low volume with a 39% accuracy, does absorb 3.53 significant strikes per minute with a negative significant strike differential of negative 0.78. Definitely not a good look there, and only a 49% striking defense. Horrible numbers. Jinyu Fry lands even less, 1.79 significant strikes per minute with a 40% accuracy, absorbing 3.35 with a horrible negative 1.56 significant strike differential and a terrible 44% striking defense. So there are some numbers that I do want to pull up for the career of Jinyu Fry. In her 3 fights, listen to these significant strike numbers from her. Against Kay Hansen, which did last 2.5 rounds, she landed 26 significant strikes. In that fight, Kay Hansen was able to take her down once in the second round, was able to control her on top, land some ground and pound for finish out that round. And then in the third round, she was able to take her down and get an armbar victory over Jinyu Fry. And then against Luma Lukbumi in a 15-minute fight, went the distance, she landed, again, 26 significant strikes. And then her next fight against Gloria de Paula, a fight that she won, she landed 24 significant strikes. So in her 3 fights, she landed 26, 26, and 24 significant strikes. She is as low volume as can be. And I do want to take a look at the grappling stats a little bit as well. Ashley Yoder does average 1.3 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 37% takedown accuracy. Does have a 68% takedown defense. Jinyu Fry does average 1.06 takedowns per 15 minutes, 42% takedown accuracy, and an 83% takedown defense. Yeah, I mean, ugly fight. I like Ashley Yoder here. She's going to be the younger fighter. She's going to be the bigger fighter. You know, even on the feet, like, I kind of favor her. I think Fry is the better striker, but she just doesn't throw anything at all. So all Yoder really has to do is just throw stuff, and she probably wins it on the feet. And then plus, if she can get takedowns, I think she's going to have a ton of success on the mat, you know, being the better fighter. Ashley Yoder actually a pretty solid grappler as well. So I think Yoder wins it on the feet just by doing more. And then I think if she does get takedowns, I think she can have a lot of success on there. But man, ugly fight. I'll take Yoder. This is as low level as it gets. But yeah, I'll take Ashley Yoder to win by decision. All right. Next, we have Kai Kamaka going against Danny Chavez. We have Kai Kamaka, who is 26 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 8-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Danny Chavez, 34 years old, 5'8", 67-inch reach, 11-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So there are a lot of really tough fights to call on this card, but for me personally, this is going to be the toughest fight to call. It's a close fight. It's a very, very close fight. So we'll take a look at the odds, and they definitely reflect that. We have Kai Kamaka opening up as a -110, slight favorite, and then or a pick'em, and then Danny Chavez open up -110 as well. Some money has come in on Kamaka, and he's currently -125, and we do have Danny Chavez at plus money at +105, which is interesting. That Kai Kamaka is the slight favorite here. I've seen a lot of people on Chavez thus far, but in this fight, man, I mean, it's so tough to call because there are things in both guys' games that I really don't like. Both guys can be taken down. Both guys slow down as the fight goes on, and I really thought Kai Kamaka won his last fight against TJ Brown, and I actually had a bet on TJ Brown. I remember watching the fight. I thought there is no way that TJ Brown won this fight. I got up, walked away from the TV. I believe I went to like the bathroom or something, and then I come out, and I guess TJ Brown won. I was shocked because I really thought that Kai Kamaka did win that fight. But prior to that, he lost to Jonathan Pierce in a fight where he kind of got exposed. He started out good, then slowed down, and Jonathan Pierce was able to take him down multiple times and finish him shortly after. Made his UFC debut against Tony Kelly in a fight where he was looking phenomenal. Was able to mix in 5 takedowns as well, but he did slow down as the fight goes on. And that's kind of the story of Kai Kamaka. He does slow down as the fight goes on. But you know, he's a young guy. He's training at a good camp. He's 26 years old. I do think he's going to be able to make improvements. Danny Chavez, not a big fan of Danny Chavez as well. He makes his UFC debut against TJ Brown in a fight where I thought TJ Brown came out there with the worst game possible. I've seen Chavez taken down, in past fights. I thought, hey, TJ Brown might be able to come out here and take Chavez down, and he didn't even attempt a takedown to the third round for some reason, and Chavez was able to outland him 49-43. And win a unanimous decision there. In his next fight, everybody was very high on Chavez, including me to an extent. And then Jared Gordon was able to go out there and absolutely expose him, was able to take him down 2 times, control him quite a bit of that fight as well, and outlanded Chavez 82-39. So taking a look at Chavez and his significant strike numbers in his first fight, 49 in a 15-minute fight. In his second fight against Jared Gordon, only 39 significant strikes. And that's what I don't like about Danny Chavez is this guy is so low volume. At least Kai Kamaka, he throws a ton of volume. He lands 5.63 significant strikes per minute. He does get hit a lot, but Danny Chavez just does not throw much. He throws with power, don't get me wrong, but, Kai Kamaka is probably going to be throwing more volume. But what it comes down to is, both guys, they slow down. I'm not a big fan of either guy here, but, Kai Kamaka, at least he does throw volume. He's going to be the younger guy by 8 years as well. And I think both guys should probably look to go to the wrestling. I think they both can have success in that area. We have seen Chavez taken down and controlled by Jared Gordon. We have seen Kamaka taken down multiple times by Jonathan Pierce. Close fight, really flip a coin. I'll go with the younger guy. I'll go with the youth. I'll go with the volume of Kai Kamaka. But man, it's a tough fight. Toughest fight to call on the card, but I will take Kai Kamaka to win by decision. All right, next we have an interesting fight here. We have Rafa Garcia going against Chris Grutzmacher. We have Garcia, who is 26 years old, 5'7", 68-inch reach, 12-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Chris Grutzmacher, 35 years old, 5'8", 68-inch reach, 14-4, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So yeah, Chris Grutzmacher came back after a decent-sized layoff against Alexander Hernandez. And man, this guy looked like crap against Hernandez. Hernandez was able to go out there, outlanded him 29-8, and then ultimately finished him in 1 minute and 46 seconds. He just did not look good. The last time he fought prior to that was 2018 against Joe Lozon in a fight where he looked really good. He knocked out Joe Lozon. Prior to that, got submitted by Davi Hamosh and Chaz Skelly as well. And that's kind of where I think Garcia can kind of take advantage of Grutzmacher. You take a look at Grutzmacher, not the best takedown defense. It's sitting at 62%. Not the best submission defense as well. He's been submitted a handful of times, and he's been finished in every single one of his losses. Grutzmacher has been knocked out once by Hernandez and has also been submitted 3 times as well. And Rafael Garcia, he made his UFC debut, I believe it was on short notice against Nasrat Haqparast, and everybody, including me, thought Nasrat Haqparast is going to go out here and knock this guy out in probably the first round, but no, that did not happen. And he actually had, some good moments in that Haqparast fight. He looked good at times. Of course, he did get outlanded. No shame in that. Haqparast is a very good fighter. He did try to take Nasrat Haqparast down 3 times, but Haqparast does have a very good takedown defense, so no success there. But I do think he can have a ton of success here if he does go to that ground game. Even on the feet, I think it's going to be very competitive, but I do favor Garcia there. I favor him pretty much everywhere, but especially on the mat. He's a good wrestler. He's a very, very good grappler as well. He's finished over 50% of his fights by submission, and I think he does finish Grutzmacher here. I think he takes him down. I think he gets a submission at some point in this fight. I just think he's the much better fighter. The UFC is giving Garcia a win here. They really are. Grutzmacher just came back. He looked like absolute crap against Hernandez. 35 years old, way past his prime. Garcia, young up-and-comer, 26 years old, not in his prime yet or just about getting there. The guy's good. He's a very good fighter, and I think he has room to improve. I think he has room to grow, but at this point, I really do think Garcia is the much better fighter, the much more athletic fighter as well, the faster fighter, and I do think he's going to be able to get takedowns, control time, and then eventually get a submission probably. So give me Rafa Garcia to win. I'm going to say second-round submission. And there aren't many confident picks on this card, but he will be one of those confident picks. So give me Garcia by submission. All right, great fight here. Colin Englund going against Melsik Baghdasaryan. Englund, he is 28 years old, 5'9", 71-inch reach, 8-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Melsik Baghdasaryan, he is 29 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach, 5-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Baghdasaryan did lose his first fight of his MMA career by submission, I believe. But yeah, we'll take a look at the odds here. And by the way, I didn't touch on the Garcia odds. Garcia opened up as a -175, currently -280. And then Grutzmacher is currently +240. And as far as Englund, Baghdasaryan opened up +140 dog, currently -143 favorite. Englund opened up as a -160 favorite, currently a +123 dog. So yeah, back to this fight. Both fighters are pretty decent. I like the game of Colin Englund. He's actually a solid striker, but he does not want to be striking in this fight whatsoever. He has good takedowns, good grappling as well, and that's kind of what he's going to want to do in this fight against Melsik Baghdasaryan, who's, I believe, a kickboxing champion, has a kickboxing background, has a little bit of a boxing background as well, and this guy's good. This guy is very good. He does have an 80% finish rate, finishing 4 out of his 5 wins in the MMA, and I believe those 4 finishes came in 62 seconds combined. These were very, very fast finishes. Obviously not great competition, but still, I mean, this guy's impressive. He did go on the Contender Series, Milsic, Baghdasaryan, and he looked really good. He looked really good early. This guy goes after it very early, and he throws with some serious heat. Like, this guy is a very, very good striker, and he's only going to be improving. And, something he needs to work on is that takedown defense. He was able to stuff, I believe, 7 out of 9 takedowns on the Contender Series, so his takedown defense didn't look all that bad. His ground game didn't look horrible. He's able to work his way back up to his feet. That was a good sign for sure, but you got to think that, many people are going to want to get this fight, down to the mat against him, because you do not want to strike with this guy. This guy is legit on the feet. I was very, very impressed with what I saw. This guy throws with some serious heat, some serious power. So yeah, interesting fight. We're going to have Colin Anglin, who's going to want to get this fight down to the mat. Baghdasaryan, who's obviously going to want to keep it on the feet. And I think Baghdasaryan catches him. I think he catches him early as well. I think he's going to come out. I think Anglin's going to want to strike with him for a little bit, test his striking, and then eventually go to the grappling. I don't think he's going to get the chance. I think Baghdasaryan's going to knock him out early. What was nice to see was Baghdasaryan on the Contender Series, after he did not get that first round knockout like he had been in the past, he was still, although he slowed down, he was able to still, out volume his opponent in rounds 2 and rounds 3. That was nice to see, but that was the only time we saw him go out of the first round in his MMA career. But you take a look at his kickboxing background. He has went the full distance before multiple times. So yeah, I do think he'll be very prepared for this fight as well. He's got to stuff the takedowns if they do come, and I think he's a very good chance of getting a knockout in this fight. So I'm going to take Milsic Baghdasaryan. I'm going to take him by first round knockout. I think this guy is legit. I think he's the real deal. And I think he gets a KO here. So give me Baghdasaryan by first round knockout. All right, next we have Nico Montano going against Wu Yanan. We have Montano, who is 32 years old, 5'5", 65-inch reach, 4-3, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Wu Yanan, 25 years old, 5'8", 66-inch reach, 11-4, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and we have Montano opening up minus 225, currently minus 235, and then we have Wu opening up plus 190, currently plus 200. So Montano is, looks like, the second biggest favorite on the entire card. Yeah, we have not seen Montano fight for some time. How long ago was it? 2 years. 2 years since she fought Juliana Pena. That fight was a very competitive fight. I thought she won round 1. She lost the next 2 rounds, but they were somewhat competitive for the most part. But yeah, in this fight, I do want to take a look at the stats a little bit. So Montano, she does land pretty high volume, 5.6 significant strikes per minute, a 41% accuracy, does absorb 4.43 with a positive significant strike differential and a 64% striking defense. So solid numbers there. Wu Yanan, she does land 4.51, very high volume herself, 45% accuracy. She does absorb a ton though. She absorbs 4.82 significant strikes per minute with a negative 0.31 significant strike differential and only a 51% striking defense. As far as the grappling stats go, and this is where I think the most important aspect of the fight is going to be the grappling, Montano does average 2.25 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 54% takedown accuracy, and she also has a 69% takedown defense. As far as Wu Yanan, don't expect her to go for takedowns here at all, but she does average 0.61 takedowns per 15 minutes, 22% accuracy, and she has a 66% takedown defense. So kind of think that's where the fight is going to be playing out the mostly, and I think Montano is going to be able to get takedowns here. I think she's the much better fighter, to be honest. Wu Yanan is very, very hittable. I don't think she has the best takedown defense. Gina Mazzani was taking her down. She took her down like 5 times, was able to control her for long periods of time in that fight. Montano's fought the much better competition, and really it's not even close. Yeah, I'll take Montano here. I'll take her to win by decision. Mixing in the takedowns, I think she's going to have a lot of success in that aspect of the fight. But yeah, she's a pretty big favorite, but yeah, probably well-deserved. I think she does win this fight more often than not. So give me Nico Montano to win. I'll take her to win by decision. All right, next we're going to start the main card. We're going to start the main card here. We have Bryan Barberena going against Jason Witt. We have Barberena. He is 32 years old, 6 foot, 72-inch reach, 15-7 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Jason Witt, 34 years old, 5'10", 70-inch reach, 18-7 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and we have, if I can find it, Bryan Barberena is open up minus 200, currently minus 275. Jason Witt open up plus 170, currently plus 235. So actually Barberena is the second biggest favorite on the entire card. So we'll take a look at some of the stats here. So there's not a really big sample for Jason Witt. He does have, I think, like 3 or 4 UFC fights. Some did end early, but I do want to take a look at some of these stats. Brian Barberena does land 5.48 significant strikes per minute. This guy is very, very high volume. He has a 48% accuracy, but he does absorb 4.7 significant strikes per minute. He does absorb a ton, but he does have a positive significant strike differential of 0.78, and he has a pretty terrible 45% striking defense. As far as Jason Witt goes, like I said, small sample size, but he does land 3.16 significant strikes per minute, 65% accuracy. He does absorb 2.68 significant strikes per minute with a positive 0.48 significant strike differential. And he has a 29% striking defense. He is very, very hittable. Very, very chinny as well, which we'll talk more about that. But you do not want to be hittable against a guy like Brian Barberena. As far as the grappling stats go, Brian Barberena, he's not going to go for takedowns here. He averages 0.23 takedowns per 15 minutes, has a 28% accuracy. And he has a 60% takedown defense, the majority of that coming by Colby Covington taking him down 12 times. So without that Colby Covington fight, which no shame in that, it's probably going to be a little bit higher than 60%. But although Anthony Ivy was able to take him down 5 times, Anthony Ivy was not able to do much with those takedowns, but still something to take into consideration here for this fight as well. Jason Witt does average 3.65 takedowns per 15 minutes, was able to take down Cole Williams a ton of times, has a 50% takedown accuracy and 100% takedown defense. Obviously, you got to expect Witt to go for takedowns in this fight. If he doesn't, it's going to be a very, very long or a very short night for him because he probably gets knocked out. So as far as the finish stats, Brian Barberena, very good finisher, 80% finish rate, 67% by knockout. The guy has a lot of power. He actually has a pretty underrated ground game in my opinion as well. Has a couple submissions in the UFC. He has lost by decision 4 times. He has been knocked out twice, and he has lost by submission once as well. As far as Jason Witt, has a 61% finish rate, 17% by knockout, 44% by submission, and he's been finishing all 7 of his losses, 5 coming by knockout and 2 coming by submission. And that seems to be the problem with Jason Witt. The guy's chin is absolutely horrible. I mean, I've seen this guy hurt so many times. He's been knocked out twice in the UFC. He got knocked out with like the very first punch that Matt Semmelsberger landed in their fight. And, Barberena, the Anthony Ivy fight kind of scares me here, especially seeing him being a big favorite because, Witt, he does have a path to victory here, and that's getting the fight down to the mat. It's just, Barberena is going to have 15 minutes to find the chin, to find a submission, and I think he probably does at some point. But kind of an interesting stat here. Every time, or in all the fights, Brian Barberena has been taken down at least once. He is 3-2 in those fights, and the losses are to Colby Covington and Leon Edwards. Every other fight that he's been taken down at least once, he has won those fights. So that's definitely good news if you are on the Brian Barberena side like me. But yeah, I mean, Witt, I think he's live to an extent, but, Brian Barberena, he's been fighting the much better level of competition, fighting guys like Colby Covington, fighting guys like Leon Edwards, fighting guys like Vicente Luque, Randy Brown, guys like that. And Jason Witt's out here getting knocked out by Takashi Sato. He's getting knocked out by Matt Semmelsberger. He's beating Cole Williams. So I think the level of competition's huge, and I think that, Brian Barberena has a very good chance to get a finish in this fight. Again, Witt's been finishing all of his losses, 100% of his losses. Witt has never lost by decision. And I think Brian Barberena does either find the chin or possibly a club and sub. But I do think Brian Barberena wins inside the distance. I'll say probably early, like probably round 1. I think Brian Barberena finds his chin there. So give me Brian Barberena. I'll say first round knockout. All right, not sure why this is on the main card. This is pretty embarrassing, man. I mean, Ryan Benoit, he is 31 years old, 5'5", 68.5-inch reach, 10-7, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We have Zaruk Adashev, 28 years old, 5'5", 65-inch reach. The dude's 3-3, and he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. We do have Ryan Benoit opening up as a minus 140 favorite, currently minus 131. We have Zaruk Adashev opening up plus 120, currently plus 111. So as far as this fight goes, came in, went into the tape thinking, hey, Ryan Benoit, if he goes for takedowns here, I think he's going to have a really big advantage. But the problem is that's not something Ryan Benoit really does. I think Ryan Benoit has like 2 takedowns in the UFC. He averages only 0.33 takedowns. But in this fight, it would be really wise to do so. I believe Benoit has a wrestling background. Benoit is a brown belt in BJJ, very good grappler. It's just not something he really goes to all that much. But in this fight, like, that is a clear path to victory in this fight. Zaruk Adashev, not a great run thus far in the UFC. He was knocked out in the first round by Tyson, I believe it was the first round against Tyson Nam, and then he was went to decision against Sumadarji in a fight where a lot of people thought that he was going to be knocked out in the first round, including me. But he was able to survive 3 rounds, but still was, clearly outstruck in all 3 rounds there. But yeah, I'll go Benoit. Here. He's a finisher. 90% finish rate for Benoit. Zaruk Adashev has been finished in 2 out of his 3 losses. Yeah, 90% finish rate. That's pretty impressive for a flyweight. And you can definitely see it. The guy hits very, very hard. Very good grappler, like I said, if he does choose to do so. Zaruk Adashev, just not impressed with the guy. I mean, he's 3-3. Finished by submission before. He's been finished by knockout. I think Benoit really could do either. If he does choose to go to that ground game, I think his submission's very live. Even if he stands and bangs with Benoit, I think Benoit hits like an absolute truck for a flyweight. Benoit very durable as well, never been knocked out himself. So I think Benoit has multiple paths to victory. Whether he wants to, strike with Zaruk, I favor him there. Whether he wants to, take the fight down to the mat, I really favor him there. It's just not something you can really count on Benoit to do. So I'll take Ryan Benoit. I'll take him to win. I'll say knockout. I'll say first round knockout for Ryan Benoit. But yeah, should be an interesting fight. But I do think Ryan Benoit should win this one, especially if he fights smart and takes it down to the mat. But even if he stands and bangs with Zaruk, I think he does touch his chin and knock him out there. All right, we have a good fight here. We have Ronnie Yaya going against Kang Ho Kong. We have Kong, who is 33 years old, 5'9", 73-inch reach, 17-8, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Ronnie Yaya, 36 years old, 5'6", 68-inch reach, 27, 10-1, and 3-1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and we have, if I can find them. Here they are. We have Kong, who opened up -200, currently -134. We have Ronnie Yaya open up +170, currently +114. So lots of money coming in on the Yaya side. But some things to point out. Ronnie Yaya, he's going to be 3 years older. He's going to be a 36-year-old bantamweight. He's going to have a 3-inch height disadvantage, and he's going to have a 5-inch reach disadvantage. So Kong is going to be the much bigger fighter in this fight. He's going to be the younger fighter as well. We have not seen Kong fight in some time. It's been a while. It's been 1 year and 7 months since we have seen him fight. So he is coming off a little bit of a layoff here. But I do want to get into the stats a little bit, as I do think they're somewhat important for this fight. So Kong does land 2.52 significant strikes per minute with a 44% accuracy, absorbing 2.43 with a positive 0.09 significant strike differential, and a 58% striking defense. So very low volume, that being because he really likes to grapple. He grapples a ton in his fights, as does Ronnie Yaya, who averages only 1.57 significant strikes per minute with a 37% accuracy. He does absorb 1.7 significant strikes per minute with a negative 0.13 significant strike differential, and he only has a 50% striking defense. So I do favor the grappling of Kong in this fight, and I do think that's probably where he's going to win it, because I don't know if he's going to want to go to the mat with Ronnie Yaya. And, Kong, he has a lot of faith in his grappling, and as he should, he's a very, very good grappler, very good wrestler as well. It's just, I don't know if he wants to go down to the mat with somebody as credentialed as Ronnie Yaya. So as far as the grappling stats, Kang Ho Kong does average 2.5 takedowns per 15 minutes with a very good 59% takedown accuracy, and he has a 71% takedown defense, very solid takedown defense. Ronnie Yaya does average 2.89 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 33% accuracy and only a 24% takedown defense, that being because he really doesn't care if you try to take him down. He is more than welcoming you to take him down. That's why he has a 24% takedown defense, and he will more than welcome Kong to take him down in this fight as well. That's where he wants it. He wants to be on the mat. So what makes this fight so tricky is, Kong, if he fights smart, I think it's a very winnable fight for him. I think if he's able to stuff the takedowns of Ronnie Yaya, I think if he, keeps us on the feet, doesn't take down Ronnie Yaya, I think he can outstrike him for 3 rounds. I think he's the younger guy, the better cardio. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage as well. But if he does choose to engage in the grappling, which I kind of have a little feeling he does, it's going to be a very, very sweaty fight for him. I still think he could win that fight. I do think he's a very good grappler. I do think he can stay out of the bad positions, but man, he's just playing with fire if he does that. So I'll take Kang to win the fight. Not something I really bet, but I'll take him to win by decision. He just needs to survive that first round and a half from Ronnie Yaya. Ronnie Yaya does slow down quite a bit as the fight goes on. Stuff the takedowns. Don't take Ronnie Yaya down. Keep it on the feet. Outpoint him to decision. If he does fight smart, it's honestly probably not going to be the most exciting fight in the world. Probably do want to see some grappling exchanges from a fan standpoint, but if I was Kang, I probably would not go down to the mat. So give me Kang, but not much confidence in this pick because I have a feeling he's going to take down Ronnie Yaya, and it's going to be very, very sweaty. So I'll give me Kang. I'll take him to win by decision. Oh, I can't believe this fight is on the main card, but this is what we're dealing with this week. This is exactly what we're dealing with this week. We have Cheyenne Buys going against Gloria De Paula. We have Cheyenne Buys, who is 26 years old, 5'3", 63-inch reach, 5-2, and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Gloria De Paula, she is 26 years old, 5'5", 67.5-inch reach, 5-3, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and for some reason, Cheyenne Buys is open up -150. She's currently -168. And Gloria De Paula opened up +130, and she's currently +140. I think this fight should be lined a lot closer. Both fighters absolutely dropped the ball in their UFC debut. Gloria De Paula losing to Jinyu Fry, a 36-year-old Jinyu Fry who throws no volume at all. That is a huge, huge red flag. And then Cheyenne Buys, she tricked people into thinking Montserrat Ruiz was good. By losing to her. She lost to Montserrat Ruiz. She was like -400 against Montserrat Ruiz, and not a good look. Not a good look for either fighter here at all. And they're going against each other. Close fight. What I will say about De Paula is I really did not like how she was taken down by Jinyu Fry and really made no effort at all to get back to her feet. She was kind of content to stay on her back and lose the fight for some reason. Kind of same thing with Buys. She was taken down multiple times by Montserrat Ruiz. If Buys fights smart and gets this fight down to the mat early and often, I think she has a clear path to victory. It's just you take a look at Buys, and it's not something she does as much as you really like to see, especially if you're laying like -170 on her. And, regardless, the fight's going to be very close. I'm actually kind of impressed with Gloria De Paula's striking. She's going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage. She comes forward. She's very long. She throws with some power as well. I actually think she's a better striker than Buys as well. It's just Buys has the path to victory of taking down De Paula and laying on her. So, flip a coin. I'm actually going to take the dog into Paula. I think it should be aligned a lot closer. But, yeah, I really don't care about this fight, to be honest. But I will take Gloria De Paula to win the striking exchanges and win a very close split decision, terrible, terrible fight. So give me Gloria De Paula for the decision win. All right, co-main event. This is the new co-main event. The co-main event has been changed like 2 or 3 times now. They probably will change it again by the time after I post this video. But we have Mounir Lazzez going against Nicolas Stolze. Mounir Lazzez, he is 33 years old, 6'1", 76-inch reach, 10-3. And 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Nicolas Stolze, he is 28 years old, 6'1", 75-inch reach, 12-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. And we have Mounir Lazzez opening up -125, currently -200. Stolze opening up +105, currently +170. I think there's some recency bias, man. I think that, we saw Lazzez in his last fight against Warlley Alves. What was he? He was, I think it was like a -200 favorite. And everybody was all over it. It was everybody's favorite parlay piece of the week, including me. I was very high on Mounir Lazzez after his performance against Abdulrazak Al Hassan, and he crushed a lot of people's tickets. He really did. And now I see a ton of love out there for Nicolas Stolze. And it's just weird because everybody was, lining up to bet Mounir Lazzez -200 against Warlley Alves, and now everybody's saying it's dog or pass against Nicolas Stolze, who, don't get me wrong, he's not terrible, but I do like Mounir Lazzez in this fight. I think he's the much better striker. Nicolas Stolze was having competitive striking exchanges with Ramazan Ameev. He was taken out a couple times in that fight as well, and that's kind of the story of Stolze. He gets taken down quite a bit. I think if Mounir Lazzez wants to get the fight down to the mat here, he definitely can. But I will say Stolze, he's tricky off his back, has a ton of submissions, a 42% finish rate by submission. a 67% finish rate overall in Stolze, and his ground game is good, but his takedown defense is not. And on the feet, I do favor Lazzez quite a bit. Lazzez is very, very high volume. He mixes it up very well. Very nice knees, very nice elbows, very nice kicks as well. And I like his striking, and he really did impress me against Abdulrazak Al Hassan, where he ate like a 30, 40-piece combo against Abdulrazak Al Hassan. Al Hassan unloaded the clip in the first 2.5 minutes in that first round. And he was able to eat every single one of those shots. And it was just weird seeing, Warlley Alves finish him with those body shots after he took, the kitchen sink and was able to take all that from Abdulrazak Al Hassan. But yeah, I'll go Mounir Lazzez here. Am I going to bet him? Absolutely not. But I do think he can win the striking exchanges, higher volume. I think he's a better striker as well. Probably mixing a takedown here or there also. Stay out of trouble on the mat. Give me Mounir Lazzez to win by decision. Not the best co-main event, to be honest. Not really looking forward to it. I think if I had to pick another co-main event, I don't know, Trevin Jones, Ronnie Lawrence. Like, this is the card we're dealing with this week. This is the card we're dealing with. A Mounir Lazzez, Nicolas Stolze co-main event. But yeah, I'll take Mounir Lazzez by decision. I think Stolze is going to be a very, very popular dog this week, though, after Mounir Lazzez crushed a ton of tickets, including mine against Warlley Alves. Finally, the main event, which this fight's good. I'm looking forward to it. Just want to remind you guys that me and Uncle Weezy did a main event deep dive on my channel on Monday. If you guys have not seen that, go check it out. Went very into depth on this fight, but going to kind of sum it up here, we have Sean Strickland going against Uriah Hall. Sean Strickland, he is 30 years old, 6'1", 76-inch reach, 23-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Uriah Hall, 36 years old, 6 foot, 79.5-inch reach, 17-9, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We have Uriah Hall as a dog, opening up plus 155, currently plus 185. Sean Strickland, the favorite, opening up minus 180, currently minus 220. So I do want to take a look at the stats in this fight. As they're somewhat important, Sean Strickland does average 5.14 significant strikes per minute, 39% accuracy, does absorb 3.64 with a phenomenal 1.5 positive significant strike differential, and a very good 67% striking defense as well. Uriah Hall does land 3.34 significant strikes per minute, a pretty good 51% accuracy, but he does absorb 3.54 significant strikes per minute for a negative 0.2 significant strike differential and a pretty bad 53% striking defense, especially compared to the 67% of Sean Strickland. So, going into tape, I kind of thought Sean Strickland had a pretty, clear path to victory, and that's going to be mixing in the takedowns against Uriah Hall. We have seen Uriah Hall taken down, quite a bit in his career. Don't get me wrong, he has a pretty good takedown defense, but he can be taken down, he can be controlled on the mat. And, Sean Strickland, he only averages 1.4 takedowns per 50 minutes. He has a phenomenal 60% accuracy and an 82% takedown defense. I think his wrestling is very underrated, and I think his grappling is very, very underrated as well. I think he's a brown belt in BJJ, very good grappler. Uriah Hall does average 0.67 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 38% takedown accuracy. You're not going to see him taking down Sean Strickland here, but he does have a 69% takedown defense. As far as the finish stats go, both guys solid finishers. Sean Strickland finishing 43% of his wins by knockout, 17% of his wins by submission for a 60% finish rate. Uriah Hall, a 71% finish rate by knockout, 10% by sub for an 81% finish rate. Uriah Hall is definitely a knockout threat, to say the least. The guy has a ton of power in his hands. And Sean Strickland, he can get finishes as well. Sean Strickland has lost 3 times, 1 by knockout, 2 by decision. Uriah Hall has lost 9 times, 4 by knockout, and 5 by decision. So Sean Strickland, I would definitely not call him chinny whatsoever. He got caught by, I believe it was a spinning kick against Lazzez DEC dos Santos. No shame in that. Uriah Hall has been finished 4 times. I kind of consider him the chinny one, but very interesting fight here. I will say this, and I said it on the main event deep dive with Uncle Weezy. I think Strickland's a better fighter. I think he's the better fighter. I think he's more well-rounded. But, man, Uriah Hall is very dangerous. And sometimes we see it a lot where it doesn't matter if you're the better fighter. When somebody has, that power, and Uriah Hall is going to have 25 minutes to land that big knockout shot. And, hearing interviews with Sean Strickland kind of took any confidence I had out of the guy, where he's saying that he wants to go in there against Uriah Hall, bite down on his mouthpiece, and stand in the middle and bang and get into a war with Uriah Hall. And that's kind of the one thing you shouldn't do. So if he does do that, which I kind of think he will, because you take a look at Sean Strickland and what he's done since he has returned from his accident in his layoff. 3 fights: Jack Marshman, Brendan Allen, and Christoph Jocko. He attempted only 1 takedown in those 3 fights combined against Brendan Allen. He got it. But the Jack Marshman fight really, really concerns me, because what do you want to do against Jack Marshman? You want to take this guy down and submit him. Jack Marshman has a 20% takedown defense, and I bet Sean Strickland against Jack Marshman, because I thought, hey, Sean Strickland's going to go out here, get takedowns, and make it look easy. But no, he stood with Jack Marshman for 15 minutes instead of taking him down and finishing the fight, which that was really weird to me. So although I think he should take down Uriah Hall, I just don't know if he's going to do that. So if he does stand with Uriah Hall, he's obviously giving Uriah Hall a ton of opportunities to find that knockout shot. And again, he's going to have 25 minutes to do so. Yeah, I think the line's a little bit off, to be honest. Again, I think Sean Strickland's the better fighter. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. But Uriah Hall has that X factor being that power. And I'm actually going to take the dog here. I'm going to take the dog in Uriah Hall. I'm going to take a shot on it. I'm going to say he does find the chin of Sean Strickland at some point. Did not like what I heard about Sean Strickland wanting to go in there, bite down on his mouthpiece, and look for a finish against Uriah Hall. But either way, I see somebody getting finished in this fight, whether it is Uriah Hall getting a knockout, whether it is Sean Strickland finding a knockout in his own right. Uriah Hall has been finished a handful of times, but I'm going to say Uriah Hall does catch him at some point. But yeah, it's a good fight. I will go with Uriah Hall. I'll take him to win. I'll say 2nd round knockout for Uriah Hall. But again, it's a very good fight. Strickland's probably the better fighter, but I just see Uriah Hall catching him at some point in time. So I will take the dog in Uriah Hall. So that's about it. That's UFC Vegas 33. It was an absolute nightmare doing all the tape for this card. Had to put in a ton of work, and on top of that, 2 fights canceled. That sucked. So really researched those fights for nothing. But yeah, I mean, as always, we got some fights. The card may not be the best, but there are a couple fights I'm looking forward to. And yeah, that's about all I got, guys. You guys can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. Follow me there. I'll be posting my bets for free on Saturday, as always. Going to be a small card for me. I'm going to try to keep it small because, man, this card is it's a mess, to be honest. So I'd tread very lightly in terms of betting, in terms of all that. Tune into the live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and then tune into the live stream on Saturday, 1 hour prior to when the prelims start. If you guys can, please leave a like on your way out. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet already. And yeah, that's about all I got. And I'll talk to you guys soon, and good luck for this card, UFC Vegas 33. Let's make some money on it.